June is Black Music Month. CSB TV celebrates Black music.
What is your earliest memory of you realizing music was a pathway you wanted to take?
Well, as a kid, my mom always, bought me gifts, and I would always, use the toys for, drums and stuff like that. So I knew I had some sort of beat in me, so I was trying to get it out. But it wasn't until later on when I grew up a little bit. I was about 6 or 7 or something like that, and my mom put me in a Christmas program in school, and I had never sung for anybody before. And when I did, like I was like the popular student in the entire school. Like everybody was just, praising me basically. And I was like, wow, this is kind of fun. I like the way this feels. But it's still, I transitioned to a lot of different schools, and then I ended up at a school called Malcolm X Academy, a middle school, where I joined a group, gospel group called God's Little Soldiers, and I became the lead singer for that group. And that was my first glimpse of the professional world as far as music is concerned. And, I just fell in love, and I knew this is what I wanted to do in my life.
How did you know how to get started? Because there are a lot of jobs out there where the pathway is exactly the same, real estate agent, doctor, lawyer, basically the same, but the music industry doesn't really have a pathway, and there really is back in the day, there was no YouTube, so there was no one really freely telling people this is how you become a musical artist. So how did you start, and how did you know how to start?
Well, that's a great question. Actually, I didn't know what to do. I kind of just learned from the experience that I had with the gospel group. We traveled, and they were very, very successful. We won our first Stellar Award in 2018. And but we had been traveling, all over the country, and we were singing every weekend, and it was a professional thing. But as far as being a solo artist, once that situation was no longer, it was tough, because I'm like, wow, I felt comfortable being with the group because other people were handling the business and marketing and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So I didn't have to worry about it. And then now here I am on my own, trying to find out how to run this, because it is a business. It's a business. So I didn't know anything about business, but it just took a lot of trial and error, and just, I had to put in my hours, and I got better and better and better. I failed, succeeded. And that's basically how I figured it out, man. Just failing, and, never gave up.
So I read your bio going back, and it said that you were having problems in school and you couldn't seem to keep out of trouble. I personally believe that it's not so much that if you take a penguin and you bring them to a mountain and ask it to fly, it's going to have some problems, because that's not what it was created to do. So lots of times in school, they think all children are exactly the same, trying to force them to stay in an environment. Like if you are, if you are efficient in math and that's all you can do really well, and then you're sitting in some English class and it's really not, you're not interested in it, they're expecting, they think there's something wrong with you because you can't keep up and you can't get into trouble. And instead of noticing someone's gift and keeping them in that error, they force children to stay in a particular, So how do you, because some parents don't have the luxury of taking their child out of school and putting them into a special, art school or a math school. So how did you change, and what advice would you give to parents to help their children who are stuck in an environment that they just don't belong in? And how do they stay out of trouble and stay well, even in an environment they just don't belong?
Yeah, well, school for me, and I've known this since I was a small child. It's kind of weird to think about it now, but I just never, I understand the importance of learning and education, but just the environment in which I was being taught I just felt like it was uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there, you know. And my mom could tell you a million stories where she would take me to school. I was so attached to my mom as a kid. I'm the youngest of 7, so I was super attached to her. So when I started going to school, I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm trying to be at home with you. What are you doing? I don't know these people, you know." And it was a real struggle for me to be away from my mom. So she would take me to school, and I would just throw a fit. Like I didn't want to go into class, and they would call her like, "You got to come get him. He doesn't want to be here." I would literally fight the teacher because I didn't want to be there. But eventually I grew out of that, and I, attended class, but still I felt like, and it's so crazy at a young age that they weren't teaching us the things that were necessary for us to really be able to flourish. It was just kind of like babysitting almost,
Yeah.
just letting time go by. And I knew something that was in me that I wanted to be greater than what, the school system really wanted us to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew it was something bigger for me. But what I would recommend, like my mom did, for parents out there with children that want to get into things, my mom never got in the way of my dreams. She always supported my dreams and whatever I needed. Just like school, if you need school books, you need pens, you need book bag, you need uniforms, you support that particular that thing. And that's what she did with me when she found out that I was really interested in doing this. She, got me voice lessons. She bought me music equipment, pianos and stuff like that. And she invested in me when she seen that I was interested in doing this. And my mind was just stuck in it. And that's what I recommend to parents, like invest in your children. You know what I'm saying? Don't force them to be something that you want them to be, but allow them to be who they're going to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's what my mother did for me. I don't know about everybody else, but that's what I would encourage in that particular situation.
Okay, so discuss your latest single, the latest project you have out that you've worked on.
Yeah, my new single, Runaway, I produced it. I wrote it along with a good friend of mine, Chris Musics, and also Zaire Dene, who's featured on the song. Zaire Dene is from Pontiac, Michigan. And me and Chris, we actually sung in that same group I mentioned earlier. So we had a, super long relationship, and we've been very cool, but we worked on this song, and it's just fantastic, man. I'm so happy because this is a project that came out so much more professionally than anything I've ever done before. And we invested a lot of time and finances into it to make it, as best as we can. And I'm just proud of it, man. It's a great body of work. And a lot of people really enjoy the song, and they want to hear more. So I released a new song called Party as well on November 1st. And that song has just been growing its own legs. And it's more of hip hop, R&B type of ordeal. And the clubs in Detroit have really been eating it up, and they've been kind of just, passing it on to other people. So it's been amazing, man. But Runaway and Party are my two latest records right now.
And who or what was the inspiration behind the writing of Runaway?
Well, I always get asked this question, but I'd be reluctant to tell the story. So I'll just give you like a little bit of the surface of the story. I was dating this young lady, and she was a mother, and she had recently broken up with the father, and we were, really getting serious and stuff like that. And like 3, 4, 5 months down the line, she explained to me that she would rather, reconnect with the ex and be a family. And I didn't want to get in the way of that. So I backed up, man. That's the type of guy I am. Like, I'm not here to prove a point. I'm not trying to be with nobody else's. It's not like that. I'd rather them be happy as a unit. And so I took that story and I wrote this song called Runaway. It's really about me, chasing a girl who is reluctant, and just trying to convince her that I'm the right guy for her. And that's kind of really it, man. I wish it was more elaborate, but it is what it is.
All right. So the last question. If you had a fairy godmother and she said, say a name, any name, and once you say that name, you would magically be in a music studio and you can collaborate do a duet, whatever, with that person? Who would, and that they could be either dead or alive. It doesn't matter. Who would it be and why?
Can I choose more than one or just one?
You can do more than one.
Okay. So the first one I would say is Michael Jackson. The number one inspiration for why I do what I do. I absolutely love, and I get a lot of comparisons to my tone. You know, people say, well, you have the tone like Michael and da 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 da. But Michael was a huge inspiration on me. And also my second one would be Beyonce. Love, 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 love Beyonce. She's what I consider the female version of Michael Jackson. So it only makes sense to want to work with her as well. And then the third person and final person would be producer Rodney Jerkins. Absolutely fantastic producer. I mean, the GOAT, literally. So those would be the three people in the music business. If I could work with them, I would, you know, well, obviously Michael I can't work with, but those are my top three.